Could this be the reason Nissan is overhauling its entire concept? Typically, the Frontier is overshadowed, with most of the attention going to the Toyota Tacoma and Ford Ranger. If we're being candid, this is primarily due to the additional and flashy features on the new models, which are often unnecessary and costly, and not something everyone desires. Yet, every company seems to be following the same trend, except for Nissan. They're altering their entire approach to truck manufacturing, opting for simplicity, which is resonating with many people. Let's be honest, what we really want from trucks is functionality and practicality, and if they look cool, that's a significant bonus. The new Frontier ticks all these boxes. Beginning with performance, Nissan has taken everyone by surprise by genuinely taking customer feedback into account. Remember all those frustrating issues we had with the old model? Well, they've addressed every single one of them. And here's the kicker. They didn't inflate the price by adding a bunch of unnecessary extras. They kept it simple and straightforward. This might come as a surprise, but there's only one option: a V6 engine that generates 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, and it doesn't use a hybrid system. While some might see this as a downside, isn't that what we're looking for? They did this to avoid confusing us with a multitude of different configurations. Sure, some people might find choosing from various options fun, but let's be honest, once you get to the dealership, the fun evaporates and you end up wasting time and feeling confused when all you need is one capable and reliable engine. And this engine does just that. Who wants to pay extra for features they'll never use? We might like the Tacoma, but let's face it, some of the recent versions are just overkill. This is as straightforward as it gets. Many other companies are trying to apply the same concept to their new models. Even Toyota did that with the Land Cruiser, and Ford did the same with the Ranger. But if you think about it, Toyota can afford to do this because they already dominate the market, and owning a Tacoma is like wearing a badge of honor. It's one of the coolest things to own. But Nissan is playing a different game. They've finally realized that we're not buying their trucks to show off. Now they're doing things their way. Keeping this truck basic is exactly what we've been hoping for. This is what sets the Frontier apart. All the other companies didn't fully embrace this concept. But keeping it simple at this level has its own problem. If you need an alternative, then you have no choice but to buy from another brand. You might need more than what the Frontier can offer. Don't get me wrong, Nissan managed to deliver a powerful punch while keeping it simple. The concept is not a compromise at all. It's not a gimmick. This truck has a respectable towing capacity of 6,720 pounds and a payload of 1,610 pounds. While it's not quite a match for the Tacoma, it's still good enough. And while this engine doesn't offer a hybrid option, it's still a powerhouse in terms of efficiency. What's even better is that it's refreshingly simple, unlike those overly complex modern engines that even gearheads find headache-inducing. This one's a breeze to fix. Seriously, you could practically do it blindfolded. But what makes this concept even better is the fact that it's been put through its paces, tested and refined until it's as reliable as they come. Sure, there's no hybrid alternative, but that hasn't stopped Nissan from sticking to their guns with their top-notch performer. If I'm being honest, there are some major problems with this approach, and it all comes down to the details. Watch carefully because I'm about to tell you something that you might not have heard from hyped-up blind reviews. Simplicity may not always be as beneficial as it appears, which is why some critics are accusing Nissan of overusing plastic. But wait, is that truly a negative aspect? Ultimately, it comes down to personal preference, and to be fair, they've put in considerable effort. The extensive use of plastic might give off a somewhat inexpensive appearance, but perhaps it's all part of the strategy to keep costs low without sacrificing quality. This vehicle has undergone significant upgrades and has really upped its game where it matters. We're referring to Nissan's latest safety suite and a new interpretation of those iconic zero-gravity seats. Let me tell you, the cabin is top-notch. And we're not just saying this without reason. Compared to its predecessor, the noise in the new Frontier cabin has been reduced by a staggering 80%, so even if you're navigating the roughest terrain, it feels like you're driving on a cloud. Let's explain why this is more important than most things. Before this new concept, even before Nissan became a household name, the original Frontier began as a compact truck. But then, as trucks started getting bigger, Nissan thought, why not scale up? And just like that, the Frontier transformed into a mid-size marvel. But here's where things took a turn. The transition wasn't so smooth for Nissan back then because they already had a dedicated fan base for their old concept. The trucks were the epitome of reliability, rivaling the Toyota brand, and they simply got the job done. Now, Nissan has decided to go back to its roots. What does this mean for us, you ask? Well, more options and better deals. No more cookie-cutter, characterless trucks. It will come with fewer demands, which means the pricing is about to become more affordable, and the new concept simplifies the entire buying process. To be honest, it's like Nissan is bringing back the good old days, but with a modern spin. So now the question is, what's the catch? Well, there are a few, if we're being honest. Let me explain. We've already discussed the fact that there are no engine options, but there's also only one transmission option, a 9-speed automatic, and that's one of the main things people have complained about. Sure, it gets the job done, but imagine the sheer excitement of pairing that V6 with a manual gearbox on a truck that's built for the great outdoors. Who wouldn't want that option? Some people might argue that the lack of a manual transmission isn't a deal breaker, and to be honest, they might have a point. Automatics do have their advantages, especially when it comes to being eco-friendly, a factor that's becoming increasingly important to all of us. It offers better mileage, and Nissan might have thought that it would be necessary to pair it with their own engine because they don't even offer a hybrid. But does this really change your opinion on this truck? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts. There are many options on the market, including the Tacoma, that offer manual transmissions, but Nissan achieved what most companies couldn't, and that was by actually listening to their customers. Because the whole concept of keeping it simple has been requested by so many people for so many years. The new Frontier doesn't just make a subtle statement, it practically screams it with its full LED headlamps, LED daytime running lights, and LED fog lights. Of course, depending on the trim level you choose, the design varies, but the core concept remains consistent across all models. Remember the Pro 4X? It used to be the top-tier trim, but now it's taken a step back as Nissan has introduced two new trims. It features rugged running boards and a 17-inch wheel wrapped in hand-cooked Dynapro AT2 all-terrain tires, all set against a sleek silver and black backdrop with a lava red Nissan badge. The black trim around the window and the blacked-out B-pillar give it a modern and stylish look. But what most of us are really interested in is the bed size. There's a crew cab configuration option with a 5-foot bed and a king cab with a 6.1-foot bed. However, this varies for different trims. In fact, you only have one option on the top trim, which can be disappointing. But remember, Nissan is keeping it simple. And for all the die-hard fans out there, Nissan is dropping a bombshell, the Hardbody Edition. It's a top-tier trim that's causing quite a stir among enthusiasts. That was actually one of the things Nissan was known for. Even if you missed the glory days, you can still spot it on the streets. The new hardbody pays tribute to its roots while boasting a modern, sleek vibe. But we all know that perfection is rare in the automotive world. Instead of just a nostalgic coat of paint, Nissan doubled down on what made the original a legend. Underneath the rugged exterior is a Frontier SL chassis with upgrades for both performance and luxury. Picture a 4x4 powerhouse with a stiffer lower suspension for added trail prowess, a ground clearance of 10.1 inches, and armor plating. It's ready for any off-road challenge. Plus, premium features make it the king of the road. Now that we've discussed the major things that define the new Frontier, let's get to the numbers. The Hardbody Edition begins at a competitive $42,000, while the base model is priced at a budget-friendly $32,000. This places it in direct competition with other contenders in the midsize truck market. However, if you delve deeper and consider all the aspects we've discussed, you'll find that it offers excellent value for your money. It's a straightforward deal, what you see is what you get. But let's not forget its competitors. It's going head-to-head with the likes of the Ford Ranger and the Toyota Tacoma. The Ford Ranger starts at $34,265, but can go up to $45,225 for the higher-end models with additional features. However, it's worth noting that prices may vary slightly based on factors such as location and dealership incentives, and this is what makes the difference. The fact that the Frontier maintains simplicity and straightforwardness reduces demand, and dealerships wouldn't arbitrarily inflate the price. Plus, it has a lower starting price. But what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.